My name is Pete Asmus. My partner here is Mark Scarola as well. And today I'm going to be talking to you guys about not only cannabis, but really the impact of cannabis and how you can make a lot of money in that field. It doesn't mean that you have to be involved in it. It doesn't mean you have to use it, smoke it, or anything. You can just be part of this movement and the real estate aspect. This is a legal disclaimer. This is obviously investments, right? We can't guarantee anything. So everything that we're going to be showing you today, you're going to give you numbers, but to some degree, you got to realize that this is a brand new industry. So here we go. Today, what we're going to cover is 90% of the U.S., actually 88% of the U.S. has approved cannabis. We have 4.5 million investors. One of the things that I think is really unique about us as a development company is that one of the things you want to do when we're developing properties, we got to sell them, right? So what we have is the ability, we own the largest real estate groups on LinkedIn. We have a reach of about 1.1 million on LinkedIn, and then about 3.5 million in our HTML database. And the reason that's important is because as we go through all of these projects and these opportunities, we want to have the ability to push those opportunities out to different people and to be able to sell them. And so that's part of what we're going to be talking about. Our land we purchased for about 1/8 of the price. We're going to talk about pre-selling, about the fact how DHS really wants us to be there. There's probably 3 different cities in California right now that are really excited about cannabis. Adelanto, California City, and Desert Hot Springs. And the reason is Desert Hot Springs almost went bankrupt in 2001 and 2014. It cost them about $15 million a year to run the city. And right now, because they've brought in cannabis and because they've started taking licensing and fees and everything, they're at about a $50 million surplus. They're building a brand new city hall. And that's important for us as investors because it shows the impact that we're having on these communities. Now, the other aspect of this is this. In Desert Hot Springs alone, they're probably building in the neighborhood of 5 to 10 million square feet at least, right? Now, here's why that's important. All the people that are going to be working at these facilities, right? All of them are not going to be living in mobile homes. You're going to have a lot of higher-end jobs in there, so they're going to need housing. So one of the other things that we're going to be doing in Desert Hot Springs is we're going to be putting in housing. Apartments, high-end, higher-end apartments than they have currently. All of these cities, as they start to grow, because where you really see the growth right now in cannabis is in these rural communities where they need something. They need something to save them, right? So in these cities, the infrastructure isn't there either. And that gives us the opportunity to step in and create that. We already have multiple buyers in line for these already. And then we have our cash now, cash later, or cash flow and cash later. So let me get into where it is. All right. I talked a little bit about this, our total reach. And I know I only have 30 minutes. So I'm doing my best to try and keep this within that 30-minute mark. So why cannabis? Well, when you look at the country right here, all of the yellow is everything that has been accepted in medical, all right? All the green means that it's legalized across the board, recreational and medically. And then the red means that they don't allow it at all. And if you look, Colorado, one of the first people in this, right? Right here, Colorado's got 2 red states around it and then yellow. The reason Colorado's been doing so awesome, again, $121 million in tax revenue last year, is because it's a destination state, right? Everybody around them is going to them. Does that make sense? Because if they want to use it, they just cross over the border. As everything starts to legalize and as you have more states come on board, you're going to start to see that Colorado's numbers are going to start going down, all right? And when we look at what this impact has had, there we go. In 2016, there we go. Look at that. That was magic. In 2016, this shows what the sales were, all right? $12 billion. $12 billion out of only 9 states right there, 8 states right there, all right? Of that $12 million that was brought in, if you look, the 3 that are highlighted are the ones that were allowing recreational marijuana, all right? Those 3 compiled 97% of that $12 billion. Does that make sense? 8 states, only 3 are recreational. They compile 94%. The 5%, 5.8, if we extrapolate that against California's number, California did 1.8 billion in medical. If we take that number and go out, we're looking at a $31 billion industry in California alone. California is the 6th largest economy, there we go, sorry. 6th largest economy in the world, right? So the fact that California has gone legal, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle. The opportunity is going to be huge. In fact, California needs between 300 and 350 million square feet under canopy. They don't have anywhere near those numbers. That's why this is such a great opportunity for us. Let's see, so how can you take advantage of the opportunity? It's easy. Focus on the real estate. We don't know what's going to happen in the cannabis industry. Now, we have 2 different funds. We have a fund that is focused only on the real estate aspect, and then we have a fund that's going to be focused on the business aspect. We already have 2 different companies we're working with, gourmetable companies for edibles, and we're working with a couple of growers. So in our development that we're working on, we're going to take over some of the buildings, and then we're selling the rest. But we're focused on the real estate. 2, build a strong foundation. So our job and our goal is over the next 3 to 5 years to purchase and develop between 20 and 30 different facilities around the country and then create a solution. And how we did that was here. If you look at this, the part that's in yellow, that property right there was what we initially went after. When we were going to do cannabis, all we wanted to do was buy the property and then release it out. That property down there, they had 2 buildings still for sale at the time. One of them already had somebody that wanted to lease out the property, and it was like a slam dunk for us. As we started to put the money together, it was sold out from under us. And that's how we realized that, man, this is really, 2 weeks, it was gone, right? So what we did was we were able to sneak in and buy the property directly north that we're calling the Triangle. And in that, you've got, on the property below us, all of them are already sold now. They pre-sold everything, and it looks like that. So when we're looking at comps for our property, we've literally got them on the property directly south of us, okay? As we go through, we looked at what our solution could be. Based on that property, we wanted to find different properties in communities that were accepting, not only accepting of cannabis, but also that the tax rates make sense, that the permitting makes sense, right? Because it can't just be that they say, okay, if they're taxing us out of control, then there's no way for anybody to be successful. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So we purchased the property, and then we put in our system. If it already has buildings in place, we're going to retrofit those and bring in a leasee. If not, we're going to develop out that raw land. And by developing the raw land, we're literally able to capitalize on all of the opportunity right now. The biggest opportunity in cannabis is the opportunity, if you will, right? If everybody has already started doing it, the opportunity is gone at that point. Right now, because the federal government has made it illegal still, it creates this huge opportunity for us. Why? Because when we buy the building, the tenant that comes in is going to do a triple net lease, not a normal lease. So we buy the building, they come in, they put up the $1.5 million to build out the shell. They're the ones that are paying the taxes. They're the ones that are paying for the improvements. They're the ones that are paying for everything. All we are doing is really acting like a bank, right? So we own this, we're getting a triple net lease, and the prices are double and triple what a normal lease is. So you're talking Desert Hot Springs, we're getting $3.50 a square foot on a triple net lease, and we have people lined up trying to give us deposits on these properties. Okay, so going through, there we go. And that was just basically explaining that as well. There we go. Oh. There we go. Okay. Again, traditional rentals, you pay the taxes, you pay improvements, you pay insurance. The triple net leases, they do. For us, we like that. Now, when it came down to, well, where could the real problem lie in cannabis, it came down to, in Colorado, right now, when they started, it was like $2,000 for a pound of high-quality cannabis. Now it's about $1,300 a pound. That's a big thing, because if somebody goes into one of our properties and they're banking on the fact that they're going to be able to get $2,000 a pound and they're going to be able to push out 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever, and then that price drops, all of a sudden our tenant lost the ability to pay their lease. So what we wanted to make sure that we did was that all the buildings we owned free and clear. And that's why we came up with doing the whole development. On these buildings, we're going to own 2 of them, and we're selling the other 8. Those other 8 are going to net us about $10.5 million in profit. The 2 that we keep, we own free and clear, and now we're generating somewhere around $900,000 annually in leases, okay? And the cool part is if the lease price goes down from $3.50 to $2, who cares? We own those buildings free and clear. California traditionally does 13% in these types of buildings year over year. We're only calculating a 1% increase, and it's still going to end up being 30% when we sell them. So the opportunity here is all about how do you really make a foothold in the industry? How do you acquire property, build it out the right way, and then own it free and clear? And that's what we really focused on. So, steps of the process, why we like this so much. We raise money. We start the construction. Because we're doing a development, we can take 10% down. So we take 5%. They have their 30-day inspection. We take the other 5%. Now we've got 10% down. Once we're ready to go to construction, within 2 weeks, we can collect another 15%. This is huge because we're getting 25% down on these properties, and we're building them out for about 35%. So it's crazy. Here's the other cool thing about these. We're building out shells, vanilla shells, meaning I don't care in high-end residential, I gotta care about the windows, I gotta care about the doors, I gotta care about the floor, the wall, all this other crap that I don't care about. And this, it's a vanilla shell. I'm putting up beams, I'm wrapping that thing in metal, and I'm handing it to them. And they're going to build out their buildings or their condos however they want. Now, there's something else that we're doing that's really cool on this as well, is that we've basically created 50 condos. So even though there's 4 or there's 10 buildings total, we're cutting them into 3,000 square foot condos. People can buy 1, 2, 3, whatever. The reason that becomes big is because we're only saying that we're going to sell them for $158 a square foot. Now, they're going to cost us $65 a square foot, and that's still a little high, but we wanted to overcompensate for that. At $158 a square foot, that's still less, and we're talking about selling them in 3,000 foot increments instead of 12, 24, and the bigger the increment, the lower the price per square foot. We're staying at these small increments. So when you look at this, the cost to build each of the properties, right, is $9.9 million. And that builds out our entire development. The sales price is going to be $20 million. And again, we literally have 4 people, I think at this point, that have already emailed us asking us to give us deposits on the property. So how do we come up with those numbers? Well, just like this. This is the property that we wanted to buy into that was directly south of us. These are the 2 properties that they had. One was 11,000, one was 27,000. On the 27,000 square foot property, they already had somebody that wanted to lease it, already had it done. That was sold at $4.3 million, and that equals $158 a square foot. So if we calculate our 3,000 square foot buildings as the same price as a 27,000 square foot building, our price point is going to be able to move quicker. And so that equals $20 million, right? So here's how it works. Investor funds came in, we purchased the land. Investor funds now we're raising for the construction aspect of it. All right, we'll take the 10% down on all the properties, which we can do, which will give us a total of $6.9 million. Then to do our slabs, to put the slabs down is going to cost us $1 million, leaving us with 5.8, right? Carry that over. We take our 15% down because now we're ready to go and build out the rest of the properties, and we're looking at $93,000 left over. So what does that mean? Well, once we pay back everybody, or the sold balance, return the borrowed funds, that gives us a balance of 98% on the sold buildings. So when we do that first section where we sell the 8 buildings, we're looking at a 99% return on that, right? And that's gonna happen this year. Then we've got the revenue on the leases. So here's our total gross lease at 940, takes us to a 9% ROI on the lease. Now, those are gonna be indefinitely until we decide to sell those buildings, right? So whether that be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, when we do, then we'll get that last part of the ROI. So when we look at the fund aspect, hypothetically, if you were to invest $100,000, your share would be 2.3 of the fund. And that's gonna come in really important here in a second. So investors' net profit, individual share is 2.3. You're looking at a $99,000 return. Again, looking at the investor's profit for the individual share of the leases, and you're looking at a 9%. So when do you get your principal back? What we did when we first set this up with Jillian, we were only gonna do the fund for one project. That was the idea. And then once we were done, we were gonna have $5 million. We could go do whatever we wanted. We didn't need to have anybody else in the fund anymore. And Jillian's answer to that was, that's jacked up, man. You can't do that. They're gonna be pissed. Like, I didn't get it. I'm like, why? I'm giving them their money back. Why would they be pissed? They've got leases. She goes, because they came in with you during the riskiest part, and then you pay them back and kick them out, like right as you make the money and you're off on your own. So what we wanted to do was give them the option. So let's say this project, instead of being done in September, is done in December or January next year. And you go, you know what? It took 3 months longer than you said. I want my money back. Boom, you can have your money back. No problem. If you decide to stay in, you can stay in. The projections that this looks like over 10 years, it just gets crazy. So let's look at what that is. Here's how this looks. One project, if you were to get out after the first year, right? First year, we do the project, you get your $100,000 back, so you end up with $199,000. Then every year, you're getting your $9 grand up until year 10. We sell the buildings, you get your 40, you end up with 313%. Make sense? What if we pre-sell? Well, it looks a lot different. Or I'm sorry, what if you stay in? It looks a lot different. It also looks different for the pre-sale, but that I'll get in a second. So if we do one of these projects basically every year up to year 5, you're looking at almost 1,000% return. And that's why Jillian said we had to keep and allow people to stay in, so that if you wanted to, you can stay in and ride the wave with what we are doing. Again, our goal is to be at 20 to 30 properties within the next 5 years. So we're looking at buying multiple projects. We've got a project that we're looking at next week. It's 400 acres up in Northern California that we can incorporate and basically start our own town. I just want to be a mayor. Why not, right? So we're gonna get into this, buy a town, and basically build it out and have a destination for people to come and get high, I guess. I don't know, there was a really weird lead into that. So, all right. We're also going to be pre-selling. So everything that we wanted to do, we always wanted to basically under-promise, over-deliver, right? And so how do we do that? So every one of our numbers are based on us raising 5.4 or something like that $1 million, but we don't need to. We literally don't need to. With the way that we pre-sell it, all we need is about 2 million. So based on that, the buildings we can be built simultaneously. We can build in 2 phases, and it saves us $3 million off of our raise, right? And what does that mean for the investors? Well, it means a lot. The benefits are huge. If we took $400 and put it into 2 different funds, and both the funds basically did everything identical, right? They made $1,000. Oh, hold on. They both made $1,000, and they both, and you put 400 into both of them. However, one needed 2,000 and one needed 3,200. The one that only needed $2,000 is gonna have a higher ROI. You're in it at 20% versus a 12.5. Now, that's nothing when you're talking about $400, but when you start talking about what that's going to mean for an investor, your 2% right here, and we did not put this visually because we don't want to put it visually, but just do the math in your head. The 2% turns into 6. Because of our pre-sales, that 2% will end up turning in to a 6, or at least a lot higher than a 2. because we're not going to need to raise the 4.9. And because we're going to raise so much less, it's going to literally kick everybody's ROI up tremendously. Now, here's the other cool thing. We spent 600 grand basically building out our platform, and we personally put in 150,000 of our own money into this as well. So our management company invested in the project as well. I was so tired of seeing other funds where people just didn't invest in it. And it's like, man, if you believe in it, invest in it. This is what we're talking about building right here. You're talking about, this is, I think, 8 buildings and 8 buildings. Each one of them can either be light deprivation or you can wrap the whole things. But it's this simple that it's literally this simple. Concrete floor, the frame, and you wrap it with metal. It's that simple. I'm doing pretty good. I'm trying to get through here. I'm almost there. These are what our buildings are going to be looking like. We're going to do metal, but we're going to do a concrete facade on it as well. Around the outside, we're going to have not chain link fence, but like you can see up there in the front, the bars going up with the wrought iron. That's the kind of fencing that we're going to do. Because here's the thing. Right now, everybody is really big on cannabis and security. As time goes on, you're not going to need the security that everybody is having right now. For instance, in dispensaries, you used to walk through and there's a guy with a gun, right, and a dog, and it was crazy. I mean, you felt like you were going into the seedy part of Tijuana. And now it's totally different. It feels like you're going into an Apple store. There's nobody there in a gun. It's not like that at all. It's much different. And as it becomes more acceptable, it's going to move in that direction. The other thing is, we know that this is moving towards a delivery system. Just like Target is doing their whole same-day delivery, everything is going to move towards that. Because even if doctors and lawyers and everybody is acceptable of cannabis, there's still the stigma. And there's still going to be that point where people don't want to be seen walking into a dispensary, regardless if they agree with it or not. And so we know that home delivery is going to become a huge thing. That's really where we're focusing a lot of our energy as well. So how can you get involved? Well, there's a few ways. We have accredited, and we're working on non-accredited right now. Right now, we currently have a Reg D for $7.5 million. If you want to be involved, you can get involved in it. You can also refer. We have a commission program for anybody that has investors that wants to come in as well. And Jillian is also building out our Reg A that should be done, we're hoping, in about 2.5 months. And that will have a much lower threshold on it, and it'll be a Reg A, so anybody can be involved. The Reg A is going to focus on the business and real estate, whereas our Reg D focuses on real estate only. And then we're going to be putting together another lending fund as well, but we're not to that part yet. So if you want to be involved, it's super simple. All you got to do is go to greenzoneprops.com. You can review our executive summary, determine if you're accredited. Once you're done, download the PPM, subscription booklet, accredited qualification, and then wait for Mark to approve you. As soon as that's done, you would fund the investment. And I hate this is down because I keep looking down instead of looking over. But resources that you can invest with, we obviously take anything, 1031 exchanges, self-directed IRAs, 401ks, any of that stuff. And then you can come and take a tour, check out the property and us. Again, that's our recap. Here's the thing. If any of you guys want any of this information, if you want to get a copy of our slide presentation, if you want to spend more time, go out to dinner tonight, any of that, just come and see us at the end because we're going to be here all day.